soon as the TV breaks off, I can do that.
Before we begin, I'm going to have a young man come forward. This is Spencer Papp. Spencer has joined us today to observe the Shawnee County Commission in furtherance of his pursuit towards the Eagle Scout. I've asked Spencer if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Spencer?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Spencer. We hope that you come away today with learning a little bit more about how county government works and encourage you in your pursuit of the Eagle Scout. That's a great honor. Good morning. Welcome to the June 15, 2015 meeting for the Shawnee County Board of County Commissioners. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair of the County Commission, also representing District 2. Joining me today is Commissioner Bob Archer, representing District 3. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Commissioner Shelley Bueller, representing District 1. Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Clerk, if we could have our first item, please.
First item is item 3, consent agenda.
Are there any questions or comments regarding the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
A second.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Archer to approve the consent agenda as presented. That motion has been seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Next item.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
The vouchers are totaling $450,212.40. And of those three largest significant amounts, $174,913.33 for Health Insurance Administration, mostly Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Second, $60,748.55 for Parks and Recreation. And third, $45,555.75 holding accounts paid to the Kansas Department of Vehicles. And I have no questions. Move approval.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Bueller for approval of the vouchers.
Second.
The motion has been seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Next item.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll make a motion to approve the correction orders.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Next item.
Item B, Human Resources. Number 1, consider approval of Resolution 2015-50, rescinding Resolution 2014-116 regarding a one-time cash payment of $500 on pay period 14 to certain county employees who have reached the top of their respective pay scales to include an omitted employee.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Crowley, Interim Human Resources Director. This is a pretty straightforward resolution, simply amending one that was already passed by the Commission last December. The Human Resources Office found out that one employee was left off the list. This resolution simply replaces the prior one and adds that employee to the list. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions regarding this resolution?
Motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer for approval of the resolution, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you
very much, Jim. Next item.
Item C, Planning Department. Number 1, consider approval of recommended appointments to the Exploratory Committee to investigate public benefit of adopting a building code in Shawnee County.
Good morning, Commissioners. Barry Beagles, Shawnee County Planning Department. On May 14th of this year, the County Commission approved a proposal to appoint an exploratory committee to examine the feasibility and public benefits associated with adopting a building code within Shawnee County. Since then, I have communicated with Ivan Weichert, CEO of the Topeka Home Builders Association, and contacted other individuals that may have an interest in serving on this committee. We have provided in advance to you 12 individuals that we suggest for nomination to the committee. Most of the individuals have expertise in the building trade profession and would be able to share their expertise relative to the application of a building code and possibly understand their benefits and advantages associated with having a building code. Also, a fire chief has also been asked to serve and has desired to serve on the committee, and 2 members of the Planning Commission. So I have spoken with each of these individuals, shared with them the work of the committee and what it's designed to do, and each has expressed an interest to serve on the committee. It's also recommended that one member of the county commission also sit as a regular member of the committee as well. Just as a way of recap, the purpose of the committee at this stage is only to explore the public benefits associated with adopting a building code within the county and to give that report and findings back to the county commission. Beyond that, depending upon your determination, that would then potentially lead us into the second step, which would be the actual formulation of a building code within Shawnee County. But this first step is to be a high-level view of looking at the public benefits associated with adopting a building code in the county.
Barry, I just want to thank you for bringing this forward in a timely manner and working on this. As you said, this is a first step, just an exploration.
Yes.
This is clearly not indicative of whether or not the county commission would adopt a code or not adopt a code, but just to answer the long question, should Shawnee County have a building code? That's something that's been presented to me as a commissioner by my constituents. I know that there are professionals in the field that say some for, some against, and I think you have a good cross-section in your list of those that would add input. Commissioners, I would note on page 2 of the memorandum, number 8 is an individual by the name of Dave Watson. I would just notify you, if you were not aware, Mr. Watson is of counsel with my law firm. Of counsel does not mean he's a part of the firm, but he's associated with. It's an association, but to make sure that everybody is aware of that, just to exclude any issues of impropriety as it relates to Mr. Watson, I think that he would be well suited to it, but in all fairness, I do need to make sure that that's known to all. There are other questions, input.
The other question would be, which county commissioner is going to serve on the committee?
I don't suppose we could play rock, paper, scissors and see who wins.
Or loses. I do have a question.
Commissioner Archer.
What, a real simple question. What problem are we trying to resolve?
The problem is that within Shawnee County, there is no minimum code by which any structure within the unincorporated area is designed and built. At this point in time, we have no knowledge of, shall we say, time bombs that are still waiting to go off by virtue of the fact that they are undiscovered at this point. The point of the matter is that what we are trying to do is build public safety into all construction within Shawnee County. For the same reason that we would design and build roads and bridges to a certain design standard, excuse me, the same is no less true with the structures we occupy and the ones we patronize, that they should be held to the same accountable standard that way.
Well, we don't know the scope of the problem or if there really is a problem at this point.
Well, the only way I can answer that is to say, well, we have no idea the type of structures which have been built which have no building code associated with them at all, and therefore they are not held to any particular standard of construction.
But do we have any levels, trends, or comparisons of problems that we've had by not having a building code in unincorporated Shawnee County?
Incidents that people may have with respect to plumbing, their HVA system, the structural integrity of their homes and so forth, we don't collect that information. So, and we're not the first place that people call when they have an electrical problem. They check the phone book and they call an electrician to come in and deal with it. I suspect that by going through this process and the various individuals that are appointed to this committee, based upon the work that they will do, they would be able to bring to the table circumstances of things that they have had to respond to out in the unincorporated area that had we had a building code, these types of problems would have been dealt with up front as opposed to becoming a problem. And that's the whole scope of this committee, is to identify what issues that there are within the county and then how a building code could address those issues.
But right now, we just have anecdotal information.
Yeah, I don't have
Okay.
any specific data.
Commissioner, I might add that, in researching this issue, I had, prior to it, early on, I had been approached by different firefighters who had indicated that due to electrical fires, that had there been a minimal inspection done or building standards, fires could have been prevented, even so far as to throw him on the spot, but our county counselor has even indicated, I believe previously, that he has had electricians come to his own house, and they have said, had you followed any electrical standard, and I think that electrical is one of the ones that are the hardest to dissect. You don't know how a house is wired until it catches fire or you're digging into the walls. And I think that what really the problem is, why do we have building codes for the incorporated areas just to maintain safety for our citizens? That's one of the key proponents or key responsibilities of government is safety. And how do you balance being too bureaucratic with that safety? And I think those are often the crossing points.
And Mr. Chair, I appreciate that. I like making decisions based on facts.
Right.
And we really don't have any facts of what we could prevent or do. I'm going to support this, and I'll volunteer to be the commissioner on the council if there's no objection to that.
I have no objection to that.
All right.
Commissioner Bueller, anything?
No objection.
Okay. And I support this as well, and I'm going to abstain, again, just for the reason I previously stated, but I fully support this, and I want it to be known that I fully support it. But given that there is one member who is associated with me in the practice of law, I feel that it's improper for me to vote on it, but I feel very strongly for this motion to be adopted, just to make sure that that's known. So rather than pull out
Okay.
one of the,
I'll move to approve the, well,
there's a motion to approve.
motion to approve, okay. Second?
So motion by Commissioner Archer for approval, also naming himself as the volunteer. Be careful what you ask for, you might get it.
Just want to keep things honest.
Second by Commissioner Bueller, and all in favor say aye. All opposed, passes 2-1 with Commissioner Cook abstaining. And we do thank you very much for that.
Certainly, certainly.
Thank you very much, Barry.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item D, Parks and Recreation, number 1, consider granting temporary easement to the city of Topeka for permanent improvements for projects to include extension of walks in Big Shunga and Willow Parks and a ramp upgrade in Fairway Park.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. I don't know that I have much more to add than what the clerk just read. These are temporary easements so that they can make permanent upgrades to parks for the bikeways master plan. Be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Any questions regarding this?
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion made by Commissioner Archer for approval, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Commissioner.
John. Next item.
Item E, Commission, number 1, consider the reappointment of Roger Dirks to serve on the Shawnee County Juvenile Corrections Advisory Board for a term of 3 years, expiring June 30th, 2018.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ed O'Rear, Shawnee County Community Corrections. I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have as to this.
Mr. Dirks has served as the chairperson for the Juvenile Correction Board, correct?
That is correct.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Mr. Dirks to the role of the Juvenile Corrections Advisory Board.
Second.
Motion, yes.
Just might like to add, he's done an excellent job, and
He
we
has.
appreciate his willingness to serve. And
I do too, very much.
He does a great job.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Next item.
Item E2, consider the reappointment of Kent Reed, Education Consultant for the Kansas Department of Education, and Lieutenant Joe Perry, Topeka Police Department, to the Shawnee County Community Corrections Advisory Board for a term of 3 years, expiring June 30th, 2018.
If I may, Commissioners, I have received word from Kent Reed, and he very much is honored and would like to continue on. I just over the weekend received an email just yesterday from Lieutenant Perry saying because of a shift change and a reassignment at TPD, he would be unable to attend any meetings in the foreseeable future, and he would like to not be approved for renewal.
meanwhile, I would still like to thank Lieutenant Perry for his work
Yes.
on the Community Corrections Advisory Board. This is often unsung but very important
Absolutely.
role in our community. So I would make a motion then to reappoint Kent Reed to the Community Corrections Advisory Board. Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
Item F, Sheriff's Office, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C 222-2015 with the City of Topeka for the 2015 Burn Justice Assistance Grant for additional body-worn cameras for the Sheriff's Office and cell extraction equipment for the Department of Corrections.
Good morning, Commissioners. Captain Hubler with the Sheriff's Office. It's a fairly typical interlocal agreement that we sign with the City of Topeka every year when the grant awards are coming out. Be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
The purpose of the grant is to do what?
To provide funding for whatever law enforcement and corrections in this instance to help combat crime in the community.
I know that it says for body-worn cameras and cell extraction, those are some of the things that are listed on the memorandum. Is this something that we're looking for, making sure that all of the sheriff's officers have the Axon cameras?
That is our intent, to use our grant funding to augment our current Axon camera, flex cameras that we have, to try and get them out to as many officers as we possibly can.
I know that in the last legislative session, they were looking at making it a requirement that all officers wear Axon cameras, and that they be on for the entire time that they're on duty, and that all of this is stored. As a county commissioner, this gives me pause just to think about the cost and how much money is going to be spent in just the retaining of that data and information. Would you anticipate the Sheriff's Office looking into that issue in the future, and how we're going to preserve this documents?
I believe that's probably a question that law enforcement in general is going to have to answer as far as the data storage. I think the Sheriff's Office has taken the stance that body-worn cameras are a good choice for us in law enforcement, and we're going to continue to push forward with that. As far as the other questions, that's going to have to be decided by probably a lot of politicians and lawmakers throughout the country.
I mean, I think that there's no denying that the Axon cameras are a great tool for law enforcement. It removes any issue of what was actually occurring at the time, what was said, and it's a great tool all the way around, but we also come into the cost of preservation.
Absolutely.
And Commissioner Archer.
I was just going to echo what you're saying, Mr. Chair. Everything I've read says that the repository for the video data it's critical that you have a plan for that. It can be expensive, and I think we need to start talking about the plan that we're going to use to store that information and what it's going to cost the county. So I'm glad you brought that up. It is a concern of mine also.
The storage costs absolutely is something that the sheriff and all of the senior staff at the Sheriff's Office has talked about, and we're doing everything that we can to mitigate those costs and keep them as low as we possibly can, anticipating that there's going to be legislation that may mandate how long we have to keep certain things.
I'd also like to highlight that this is an interlocal agreement with the City of Topeka, showing the unity of the Topeka Police Force and the Shawnee County Sheriff's Office working together on this grant application.
Absolutely.
So I'll make a motion to approve the grant application for the Burn Justice Assistance Grant.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
Any administrative communications this morning? Any public person, if you wish to come forward, come to the podium, make sure you state your name so that our clerk can record that.
Okay.
And then
I also have a letter that I made a copy for each one of you that basically just discusses what, the issue that I'm gonna bring up.
Okay.
Need one? Well, my name is Clark Sand, and I live at 1836 Southwest Urish Road. And as you guys know, sorry guys, as all of you know, I'm sorry for that. There's going to be an improvement on Urish Road come about in a couple years from now. We've had some recent severe weather that's caused me to be concerned about those improvements, that I wanted to tell you about that. And ultimately, I'm going to ask if you could have the engineers take a look at the data that I've got in here. And what I'm concerned about, and I'll go through the letter just very briefly, it'll take me maybe a minute, that on the evening of June 4th and the morning of June 5th, we had heavy rainfall in the area. And what I found as a result of that rainfall, and this is the first time this has happened in the 3 years that I've been in the property, that the culvert that passes under Urish Road, which drains my property and adjacent properties, is just too small. As a result of that culvert being a bit undersized, water flowed over my driveway. It flowed over Urish Road about 2 in the morning when I was there. It was about a 35-foot wide river, about a foot deep, going over Urish Road because the culvert couldn't handle it. Once it gets past Urish Road, the other side, which would be the west side for me, it's got plenty of drop, and the water it could take Noah flood almost there. But because it had trouble getting past Urish Road, it backed up into my front yard. And I would estimate it was about 1 foot of elevation away from running into my basement. I was fairly nervous about this whole thing. But it did not enter into my basement. And in the 3 years I've been there, there's been no water in my house at all. And in the, 20 years more or less that since the house has been there, the previous owners have told us in the disclosure documents that there's no water ever been in the house, and the inspector that we had inspected believes the same thing. My concern is that I don't want the improvements on Urish Road to cause water to enter my house as a result of an undersized culvert or other changes. About a year ago, one of the county engineers, and I'm sorry I can't remember his name right now, came out and talked to us about the Urish Road improvements, along with an engineer from the engineering company, as well as the appraiser that you guys use. And they came to tell us about the project and ask us if we had any concerns. I was already a little bit concerned about it, just because I knew that if they goof that design up and change it from what is there now to something worse, that we'd have the potential for flooding in my house. And so at that meeting, I asked them, what are you going to do to ensure that it's not worse than what it is now? And I asked them, is the height of the road going to change? Because if the height of the road changes, if it goes up, then that prevents the water from flowing across that it is now. And they said, well, probably not, but maybe some, but we don't really, they didn't really want to address the issue. And then I asked, well, what are you going to do about the culvert? Is the culvert going to be as big or bigger than what is there? And I kind of got the same answer. They weren't really prepared to talk about that. They said, well, the culvert will be about the same size. Well, as a result of this near flood that I had on my property, I don't consider that to be good enough now. It's near the same size, and the height of the road won't change very much. Because the issue is if the road is higher than it is now, and if the culvert's the same size that it is now, that 40-foot river that passed 1 foot deep that passed over Urish Road isn't going to maybe go over it. If they raise that Urish Road level 1 foot, then I'm probably going to have a wet basement. And on the other hand, if they lower Urish Road, that's even better for me. And I don't know which they're going to do, or whether it's going to stay the same. If they raise Urish Road and make the culvert humongous, then I'm also in good shape. So what I'm asking is that, and I didn't know how to do this exactly, but come here and just raise this issue with you guys, if we could have some kind of reassessment of the design of the Urish Road pertaining to water runoff right in front of my property, and have them just take another look at it with the data. I attached some pictures to this letter that one of them is a drawing that shows how much of the area was flooded, and a few pictures that give you some kind of idea of where the water level is at, besides just me saying where it was at. And so I'm just hoping that we could get another conversation going with the engineers and with the engineering firm that's doing the work, and that they could take another look at it and satisfy me that as a result of these changes that my house is not going to flood. That's what I'm asking. So, have any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Sand? Thank you for bringing this to us. I always encourage public dialogue. At the same time, if you have an extra copy, our county engineer, Tom Block, is present here today. I'm sure that if...
Yes, I do have.
Yeah. That,
if you don't mind, I'll make a couple comments.
Absolutely.
First of all, Tom Block, Shawnee County Public Works. There's not going to be a culvert at this location. We're changing this roadway section from a rural section, which is pavement and ditches, to what's called an urban section, which is curb and gutter, storm sewer, sidewalks, so on and so forth. So there will not be a ditch in front of his home anymore. His street, or I mean, excuse me, his property should drain to the curb, which will then flow into the gutter, which will then flow into the storm sewer, which will then take it off to the west side of the road. So I can assure you, 100% assure you, that this has all been included in the thought process to have this project designed.
I'll just raise another comment. What the gentleman said is generally true of Urish Road. However, my particular property has a seasonal creek that runs through the center of the property, gets up to Urish Road, runs along Urish Road, and then goes under what I call the culvert to drain off into the other side. So the water that is entering my property is not coming from the road. Water that hits the road, I think he's correct, it would be trapped by the culvert and go down to the to the drainage system in a way. Mine is coming in from the subdivision behind me, and I also think that he's correct in that the engineers have looked at it. They have. They're planning on rerouting and putting in a large underground culvert tube, something through my property to take it to Urish Road. But from there, it has to travel under Urish Road, or it can't get out of my neighborhood. So, man, I just would hate to see us take the point of view that, hey, they've looked at it, everything is fine. They haven't seen this kind of information that I have here about the degree of the rainfall that we got. And maybe they have, 100-year flood data and all that kind of stuff, and they probably do. But I have on-site eyes on what happened that morning, and I just hope they could take a look at it.
Okay.
Now, I'm sure he's correct here. If there is a drainage ditch coming through his property, there would be what's called a box culvert more than likely. And I would say it is very possible that the current culvert, when it was put in place a long time ago, there's a very good chance it's probably undersized. But in our design, we do design to certain storm frequencies that account for the sizing of the culvert. When you do design, you cannot design for certain design storms like a 500-year storm, because otherwise, if you did that, then you would never be able to afford to build anything. But I'm sure that the box culvert, the structure that would be in this place is going to be adequately designed. Now, does that mean that if we have a 500-year storm, which I'm not sure what this storm event was, I don't think it was a 500-year event, or I don't even know if it's a 100-year event, I'm not sure, but I am quite confident. I will certainly go back and ask our engineers, double check and verify, that's the least we can do. We can sure do that, but I would be pretty confident right now that we're okay.
Okay. But Mr. Sand, as indicated, he's going to go back and talk with the engineers to review the information and data. But thank you, Tom. Thank you, Mr. Sand. Any other administrative communications this morning? Commissioner Bueller?
Going to attend the conversation on poverty tomorrow, and then also attending Rossville Safe Streets annual meeting. They have a partnership with Topeka Safe Streets, so looking forward to that.
Very good, thank you. We'll look forward to getting information back. Commissioner Archer?
I just wanted to thank and recognize Public Works and the household hazardous waste area. The president of our neighborhood association over the weekend said, bring all your disposable waste down to me and I'll take it up north. And we had gallons and gallons of paint and insecticide, and I mean, you name it. And the pickup truck was way down in the back. But that is a great asset for our community to be able to provide hazardous waste to that area. And so I wanted to recognize Tom as he came up to take credit.
Sorry to be up here again on a different topic. Tom Block again with Public Works and Solid Waste. I just want to let you know I'm going to be bringing a short little presentation or provide some information regarding the household hazardous waste facility. That facility, we keep track of our information on a fiscal year from July 1 through June 30th, and that's the year that the state KDHE is on. So when June is over and sometime in July, I'll be bringing forth information that shows you dramatic increases in the use of that facility. We're on the I think we have doubled, more than doubled, or very close to doubling in the past 2 to 3 years what had been there previously as far as usage. And the word just keeps getting out, and people are continuing to use it, which is exactly what we want. We think we're going to hit the 5,000 mark as far as participants this year, which is a huge number, but it just keeps growing. It seems like nearly every month we break the record for that month from the previous year, and it's just, honestly, I think there's only been, 11 of the 12 months, I think we've broken the record for participants. It's been really good, and I really need to give all the credit to Eddie Spencer, who manages that facility up there. I've gotten several compliments directed to me regarding what the work that he does and his staff does up there, and as courteous as they are, and he welcomes and wants more and more people to come up there. So it really is a great facility for this community, and we just encourage people to use it more and more and more, because the more we bring there, we can oftentimes we can reuse it, like the paint.
Mm-hmm.
We give out a lot of free 5-gallon buckets of paint that's reused. We don't color match it the way everybody wants, but it's pretty different. It's pretty decent colors for the most part. Most of it turns out to be beige or earth tone, but it is just a great facility. He does a great job up there. So anyway, I just want to let you know I'll be bringing that to you here in a couple weeks, or a few weeks, or about a month, I guess.
Thank you, Tom. That was an important part of our neighborhood cleanup efforts, and we need to continue to get the word out on that opportunity. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Last Friday, I had the opportunity and privilege of welcoming 18 girls that were participating in Girls State, and to learn a little bit more about the County Commission. There were 63 young ladies total, and I want to thank all of the different departments. I see Becky Nyosi was here. She had a group. The clerk's office had a group. The sheriff, the district attorney, the courts, the County Commission, and treasurer, and the mayor. All the different participants, to learn a little bit more about each of our roles and how we function. I hope that they came away learning something. By Friday, they were a little tired, and Mr. Eckert was here to let them know about the county councilor's office and kind of take them around. So I want to all appreciate everybody's efforts in that endeavor. Friday, I also had the opportunity to attend the food cart, Top City Food Cart Expo at the Gage Park. As all reported, there were in excess of 5,000. It was very well attended. It was, but what struck me was it was families. The number of kids that were involved and families. There was no charge of admission to get in. Parking was free. You might have had to walk a little bit, but it was just groups and tons of families, and it was a great experience. It was just very well attended. I know my family enjoyed it. It was a beautiful evening, cool. Could not have predicted a better evening, I mean, given their weather.
Yeah.
And the zoo was open late too, so families were able to go do that as well. So I want to thank John and his staff for everything. I know that Sean Osborne was looking a little bit frazzled towards the middle of the evening with the crowds. Everybody knew that there was going to be people showing up, but maybe not that many crowds. And so John and his staff did an excellent job of managing all the crowds. And so
I was in charge of the weather.
and then this weekend we have a wheat stock at Old Prairie Town. So hopefully we can continue all of these great endeavors. Again, wheat stock is something that is free to the community. Parking is always at a premium, so you might have to walk a little bit, but other than that, there's some great entertainment, great acts, and so all of the things that the county does to provide entertainment to the community, there's nothing that can be said that there's nothing to do. So, with that, our next item.
Item 6, executive session.
I don't think there's a need this morning, commissioners, for an executive session. We are adjourned.